How can we make cultural diversity to a profitable business?
I think we have to make people recognise that there are two sides to cultural diversity. Any decent human being, I hope, understands the moral case, the ethical case very easily. It's simply that everyone should have the same chance to show their talent, to engage in the industry. But there is a business case, and in a difficult economic environment, when people are looking at, we call it eyeballs in the UK, you know, how many people are watching the show, how much revenue is coming in, we do need, I think, to link diversity to a business case, and in Britain we are clearly starting to do that.
In the UK there's a lot of experience implementing cultural diversity in several cultural institutions or other kind of institutions. So what is the basic to implement a cultural diversity policy in institutions?
First of all, you have to have people engage at a high level. I think if you don't have buy-in from the senior executives, they're never going to be the ones that are actually pushing the doors and making it move forward. But they have to, at the very least, say, okay, yeah, if you come to us with good ideas, we will implement it, and we'll implement it from the top. That's what we did in the UK, and I think that is a very important thing. But the second thing, which is almost more important, is you have to know what you're dealing with. You have to measure it. You have to know how many ethnic minorities, cultural minorities are there in programme making. It's public service often. I work for Channel 4, a public service broadcaster. Well, we have an obligation to implement our policies fairly. We make lots of TV programmes. One of the first questions I asked was, well, how many of those TV programmes are either made by ethnic minorities, include ethnic minorities, or are viewed by ethnic minorities, and then very closely after that we embraced wider diversity, because if you're just talking about black people, ethnic minorities, you're not engaging everyone, and for me equalities is a wider agenda. So we talk about underrepresented groups, and those underrepresented groups may be ethnic minorities, they may be women, they may be often low-income families, they may be disabled, particular sexual orientation, older religious backgrounds. It is about saying, whatever your background, you should not be excluded. It should not just be the people in the networks, in the golden circle, that can actually have access to the cultural industries.
Which challenge are you expecting in the future concerning cultural diversity in Europe?
Well, it's a huge challenge. I mean, it doesn't go away. It doesn't, you know, it's not a destination where you arrive. My family is African American, and Martin Luther King's struggle, yes, things have improved, but if you look at the situation in America, you know, there are more young black men in jail today than there were slaves in the cotton fields. So to think that, oh, you arrive, you change the law, you abolish slavery, or in Denmark you have laws that safeguard people in employment from discrimination, to think that the legislation on its own does something, obviously it is a prerequisite, but you have to do much more. So the challenge in diversity is always keeping the eye on the ball. Too often the ball is what you're trying to push up a mountain in high heels. It's a very difficult thing to do, but you take your eye away for 1 second, it goes all the way back to the bottom. So, you know, we just have to keep the pressure up, because it's about fundamental human rights, fundamental issues relevant to democracy. And that's why I think it's an issue for everyone, not just a minority.